Hey, Javier here, guys. This is the Real Javier Novoa channel, a platform and a modality where we apply the principles of interiorism to rapid lifestyle transformation, to getting you off the prison grid, and to finally living the life that you came to live. I'm making this, ladies and gentlemen, if not my life's work, then a big part of my life's work. And where we're going now in the channel, the next phase of this, which was really not planned, was inspired to me, and was the need for it was indicated by a lot of questions that I've received, a lot of conversations I've been having with clients and with subscribers, the importance of inner conversations. And in fact, this is the most important tool, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, Neville Goddard called inner self-talk, that inner dialogue, he called it the coin of heaven. And he called this the coin of heaven because it has two sides. And the two sides of this coin of heaven is, number one, your thoughts and moods, and number two, your self-talk. This is the coin that's going to get you, so to speak, in a very metaphorical sense, is going to buy you everything that you want. And I want to go over, first of all, some things that Neville Goddard said about it. I want to pick out some passages from this book, ladies and gentlemen. This is, in fact, the original copy that I bought when I was in my early 20s, ladies and gentlemen, when I was in a dark place in my self-development, my success development, and so on and so forth. What to say when you talk to yourself. And it was this book that really drove it home for me, that underlying everything on the outer, underlying all of the hard work, all of the efforts to be successful, because up until that point I had been engaged in outer efforts to be successful, and yet never really quite got there. I was always the hardest working person on my team, in the restaurant in which I worked, in the office in which I worked, and yet it never worked out. Success and promotions ended up going to people who worked far less hard than I, and who it seemed to me at the time were simply manipulating connections, and that's also a good point, but no, it was because my beliefs were stuck in this sort of holding pattern. And the way I got myself out of that, this was even before I discovered Abraham Hicks. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, sort of an intellectual autobiography. I bought this book due to a book that I was reading about real estate, and I think it was the Trump real estate book, or yes, I think How to Get Started in Real Estate. And one of the authors recommended this book. And I had known a bit about self-talk and so on and all of this, and I'd been reading self-help, and I had read Napoleon Hill, but I had not really gotten down to the essence of it and to how it really underlies everything. And this book basically teaches you how what you say when you talk to yourself underlies everything. And then I was searching for self-talk, I believe, on YouTube, and then I simply came upon Abraham Hicks. It was always also around the time when I started reading the Getting Things Done by David Allen. And a lot of the videos about getting things done in self-talk had on the sidebar recommendations to Abraham Hicks. And of course, Abraham Hicks is the key, ladies and gentlemen. If you listen to Abraham Hicks, you will heal. But the only problem is that it takes time to absorb the material. And what we're giving you on this channel is the essence, so that you can take the material that we're giving to you on this channel, the basic essence of interiorism, and then you can go and apply that to any other pursuit in your life. You can apply it to listening to Abraham Hicks. You can apply it to self-change and self-development, self-improvement. Because you have the knowledge, ladies and gentlemen, that there's no self-improvement. So you'll approach all of these modalities, including self-talk, including self-improvement, including getting off the prison grid, as a game. And when you approach it as a game, that's when your success takes off, because you have nothing invested in it. That's why interiorism teaches Interiorism 101. You are already everything that you want to be. In fact, you are consciousness. In fact, there's nothing separate from you, so everything's already going on within you. Therefore, you're ultimately worthy. Therefore, there's nothing that you have to change on the outer. Of course, change will come on the outer because we're constantly growing and expanding beings. But you need not take thought as to the manner of that. And then that leaves you free to experiment with a lot of different modalities. We're going to teach you the modalities that get you the quickest results on this film roll. We're going to teach you the modalities for success. We're going to teach you how to change your self-talk in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, this takes time to reach into the subconscious, but it's a lot less time than people think. And it's a lot easier than people think, and the journey is going to be more pleasant. Of course, interiorism is outside of time. Therefore, you know yourself as being already it. You see the paradox. It's sort of like a circular argument. And that guarantees your victory. And when the victory is guaranteed, you really are not concerned about what happens in between. In fact, the secret is it's the journey and what happens in the middle, what Neville Goddard calls the messy middle. That's actually the spice of life. And this is proved, ladies and gentlemen, by science. It's in fact proved by recent experiments and researches and studies in science done by the Huberman Labs and others. And in fact, we are working on a video addressing an interview with the great Dr. Andrew Huberman, who is a neuroscientist and who's talking now about dopamine and what we know about dopamine. And just in a nutshell, and how this ties into all of this. When you achieve your quote-unquote goal, and in this channel we call it intentions, following the great Trevor Blake, which is your goal that's already achieved in yourself, and so therefore you're not trying to achieve it, but whatever you call it. When you achieve your goal, actually the dopamine release is a lot less than even the person would expect. I remember this when I was growing up, when I was probably about 15, 16, and my parents bought me a car, and it was exactly the kind of car I wanted. I remember it was like a Hyundai. It was black, I believe, and I was really excited in the process. But when I got it, when we were going to pick it out, I remember I was just sort of like, eh. And my parents were like, "Are you not excited? You know, we're getting you this new car, and you're finally getting it." And I said, "Yeah, you know." But that's sort of the way it is when you accomplish any goal. And now that I've accomplished a lot of successes, I know this. Because once you achieve the success, Abraham Hicks talks about this. Well, it's like a gum that you've already sucked all of the flavor out of. So it's not the end that you're going for. And science tells us that when we do achieve a goal that we've been working for, especially for a long time, the dopamine sort of, it spikes, but not as high as we expected. And then we become upset after that. What you need to train your brain to do, Huberman says, is actually get the dopamine from the process of getting it. And then when you attain it, you take a little break, and then you generate a new goal. Of course, we know it's going to be generated for us by the contrast. And then start going for that. The point is that all of the juice, all of the fun is in the journey. Neville Goddard said that it's as if you watch the end of a movie. You know how it ends, so you're not worried about that, but then you go in and say, okay, let me watch the movie. Well, we're still excited about the details, about how it unfolds, and you'll never know how it unfolds. So basically what you want to do is you want to keep that dopamine coming while you're in the process of that goal or that intention developing. You do that through self-talk, ladies and gentlemen. And what we're going to do is we're just going to give you a few phrases of self-talk. Basically, he goes into this, and he talks about basically three kinds of self-talk from what I remember from the book. And one of them is, you tell yourself things in the moment as a sort of pick-me-up. And this is very, very important. So like, for example, when you're feeling bored, of course there are many methodologies for this. But the easiest one, let's say you're bored. You can talk to yourself and say, I am feeling energetic right now. Now, As Abraham Hicks talks about, affirmations can work against you if you're trying to accomplish something. What you have to do, and you'll get this with practice, don't not do self-talk because you think, oh, I'm trying to force it. What you have to do is talk from the state of already having it. But as you develop in self-talk, you'll be able to internally generate these states yourself. For information on that, look into Joe Dispenza. People are able to internally generate whatever states they want with focus. So it's like the biblical scripture says, let he who is weak say, I am strong. So if you're bored, say, I'm feeling energetic. I'm feeling energetic today. Basically, say what you want, and we'll train you to do that. And Abraham Hicks calls this also pivoting. If you're in a bad situation, what's the situation that you want? Pivot to that. That's basically all there is to this. Now, the second step is these inner conversations. And yes, you can actually have a conversation with yourself out loud. And no, psychologists no longer say that this is insanity. Because what psychologists have discovered since way back is that we're constantly having inner dialogues with ourselves. And in fact, we set up another. And if you really pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day, you'll see that you're conducting inner conversations with somebody else in your mind all day long. Most of it's under the radar, but once we develop mindfulness, we'll be able to sense this. Sometimes you're having an argument with your boss while you're in the shower. Sometimes you're having an argument with your mother who passed away 10 years ago. Sometimes you're trying to convince a friend of yours who's not even there. So like Eckhart Tolle says, there's no difference between us and the insane person on the street, except they do it out loud. What the author, what Shad here teaches you how to do is sometimes have those conversations out loud. You can be in the shower and you can say, hey, Javier, how are you doing today? I'm doing great and I'm ready to go at it. And I'm going to enjoy the shower and so on and so forth. You can have those conversations with yourself. He talked about another time when he was at the airport and his flight was delayed. He started having a conversation with yourself. Of course, you could do this out loud or within your mind. If you're in public, I'd recommend that you do it within your mind. It's a form of meditation. Basically, what you want to do is you want to hold these inner conversations and inner dialogues from the premise that you already have what you desire. So let's say, as many of us here on this channel have this intention, that I want to be completely free and living, as Neville Goddard said, as a lord or a lady. I don't want to have to pay any obligations. I want all of my bills and obligations just to flow without me having to take any thought. Well, remember, hydrate is extremely important. But, so alright, what conversation would you be having with yourself were you that person who's completely free? Well, hey, I can go do anything that I want today. What do I want to do today? Well, I think I'm going to sleep till 10 o'clock. Then I want to go out to a beautiful steakhouse and have a great lunch. Then I want to go back home and sort of just meditate in bed. And how's that sound? Well, that sounds great. Things like this. You have to come up with it yourself, and in our future videos, we'll try to give you templates for that. But it's basically having conversation. I want to read a little bit of Neville Goddard. In this chapter, The Coin of Heaven, he says, persuasion is an inner effort of intense attention. To listen attentively as though you've heard is to evoke to activate. Now he says, learn to relate. Your inner speech is perpetually written all around you in happenings. Which means you talk, and then what you're talking about is happening for you on the screen of your perception. Okay? So learn to relate these happenings to your inner speech, and you will become self-taught. Something happens to you. Well, we used to be in the modality of to me. Now we're growing to the modality of through me. So we used to think, oh, this happened to me and I'm a victim. Now what you could do is say, well, this happened to me. Why? What is it that I said to myself, or perhaps self-conversations that caused that? Oh, I just woke up and said that my life sucks. Well, Now I tripped and I dropped my credit card in a hole in the ground into the sewer and lost my cell phone. That's why that happened. That's good, because now you start to know your power and you start to relate the external happenings to what's happening within you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as we teach in interiorism, there's no out there. It's all within. Learn to relate those within and learn to have self-conversations. And I don't want this video to grow too long, but he says, I want to just get to the nitty-gritty of this. He says, through controlled inner talking, from premises of fulfilled desire, seeming miracles are performed. The future becomes the present and reveals itself in our inner speech. So like Joe Dispenza says, we pull the future into the present and we collapse time. How? At that point of inner conversations and inner speech. Of course, this incorporates the imagination. In fact, imagination and speech are not different modalities. They're in fact the same thing. So you can say, I'm right now on the beach, and then you can sense the sounds and the smells and so on and so forth, the feeling of the sand, and you're there, ladies and gentlemen. You could be in work in a job that you hate, and you can in an instant transport yourself to the beach. Don't tell your boss, but you can do this. And the more you do this, the more you're coming into alignment with your true self, and the more you're knowing about the creative aspect of your inner self, and the more you're practicing in that, soon you will be able to transport yourself in an instant anywhere that you want. He says, all happiness, Neville says, depends on the active, voluntary use of imagination to construct and inwardly affirm that we are what we want to be. He says, thought is the coin of heaven. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you this week, perhaps as a challenge, start constructing your world from within. Start constructing through your inner talk, through your inner dialogues, what you want your world to be within, because you are the creative aspect. You are the power. You don't have to live a life that you don't want to live. Of course, there are ways that we can smooth out the film roll that we're on, and we encourage you constantly to do that. Do what you can to make your job more enjoyable. If you don't like your job, do what you can to find one that you do like. Take small steps in the direction. But what I'm talking about today is an absolute paradigm shift, a quantum shift, where you don't have to take any action. All you have to do is start carrying on the inner conversations of the wish fulfilled, and you're already there, and your world will transform in quicker time than you thought possible. Ladies and gentlemen, take control of your inner dialogues and your inner thoughts. Start imagining. Use the coin of heaven to purchase what it is that you want right now. That's a true investment in your future, because your future is going to accurately and intricately reflect the inner conversations that you conduct with yourself. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be having more videos on this topic, some prompts. We're going to be talking more about this book, what to say when you talk to yourself. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week ahead. We will be making more videos this week about interiorism, about rapid lifestyle transformation, about getting off the prison grid. Please, if you find value in these videos, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We have videos coming out weekly on interiorism, rapid lifestyle transformation. It's a philosophy that I think the world right now is in need of. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you very soon. I am doing coaching calls. I'll put my email in the description. We can help you transform your life, help you with any aspect that you need help with, drawing on my years of experience in consulting and my knowledge of these principles. So until next time, guys, ciao. With great love and appreciation. See you soon.